was hearing. The plan I envisioned didn't include her. I wanted our son to learn how to be responsible for himself. By injecting herself into the mix, she was just trying to keep him a boy a little longer.
The way he approached the situation, he didn't make it this easy for anybody. I know for sure. He was saying this and that, but in mid video, I told you, yeah, it sounds like a great idea, like 50 said, right? And I said yes, until this kid spoke to his mom.
You keep saying
you know what
kid.
I meant?
You keep saying kid.
He was a kid at the time, man. Like,
what's kid to you? Give me an age. I think this kid was probably in his 20s. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. We're just talking about the whole 50 Cent situation and his son. A lot of people don't understand how you can be so harsh to your own child. They thought that he was a little hard on the young man. Maybe he was out of line. I don't know. I seen a couple interviews where his son was claiming that I'm hearing numbers. I heard numbers 67,000 a month. I've heard numbers 10,000. I've heard numbers as high as 25,000. 50 Cent said there was one, I don't know if it was a tweet or what, but he said that he ended up paying his baby mama like 1.3 million. I don't know if this was one lump payment or this is how much, I think that's how much the child support added up to. That's what it was?
Yeah.
And his son was on there just saying something. I mean, it's just crazy hearing him say that he shouldn't want for anything. And that $6,700 is not enough. And you can't live off of that.
Okay. Okay. Let me interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Please.
But this time around, the son is actually looking for 50 Cent, meaning he's trying to create something and some forgiveness. He was actually, his comment, I guess, for what he explained, got taken out of context because he was just being sarcastic, as in like a throwback conversation type of thing. So he wasn't actually
about
like
50's remark about his son getting hit by a bus.
No. I'm talking about what he first said that got all these things going. Okay,
Yeah.
So he ended up posting something saying something about like the amount of money that he was getting, and he was saying this was not enough. But he also did say, just to be fair to his son, Curtis, what's his name? I can't remember.
Marguise.
But Marguise and Curtis Jackson is 50 cents, whatever. So I for what he explained, he could be switching it up right now.
Yeah.
But he was saying that he was only being sarcastic about that because he don't even receive child support anymore. He was just using that as a like joke almost. That offended, of course, his father. But in recent interviews, he was saying that he's open to meet with his dad and fix things and stuff like that. And he also said he understands things differently now. Of course, the rumor was that back in the day he was given his girl, I don't know his name, well, his son's mom, he was receiving $25K a month.
Something crazy.
And she was complaining, saying that only covered like the basic necessities. So he's like, well, what do you mean? Like, how is that? How is that only covering your basic stuff? Oh yeah, he still needs this amount of sneakers, he needs this amount for clothes, and so what are you doing with this money? And that's how they ended up, he said, no, I'm not doing that. And you know how 50 Cent, if you know 50 Cent, you know that the way he talks is not the most respectful way. He's what we call now a troll. Okay, he's just a funny guy. He says things in a funny way. And she ended up taking him to court. And in court, the same thing that I'm telling you right now, the judge was like, how is that? How is that only covering your basics? What are you doing? What is it that's costing you over $25K for basics?
A month.
What are you consuming? Yeah, a month. Like, my goodness, that's a freaking minimum wage a year salary right there in a month. And it's not like she comes from a rich family, you know, or anything like that. They come from having nothing. You understand?
Yeah.
Now that's not counting that she looked out for him. She took care of him. She did a lot for him when he was, you know, when he got shot and everything. But she claims he's a liar. She claims he only got shot twice out of the 9 times he says he got shot. And you know, the whole story of how he came back up and did things was fabricated, which other rappers say he was really out there. I believe the other gangster rappers. I don't know about you guys. Like I'm believing the guys that were outside with him.
Yeah,
You
he
know
got
what I
a
mean?
lot of people that beef with him. Like I never heard anyone say that his story was fake though. Like Ja Rule and him were beefing. Ja Rule never said he
He
was
did.
fake. He said that?
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like the girl is saying he's lying, but all these other rappers are like, nah, he was for real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can't remember how much after that court session, the judge said, you know, like this is crazy. You don't find this to be enough, but he's actually overpaying you. So the amount that I think it was like 10K or something like that a month after she ruled in the court. So I can't remember. I don't want to throw numbers out there because I didn't double check on it.
Then it dropped down to the 67.
Yes. And it's because she kept fuzzing. And I'm like, yo, at that point, I would leave it alone. You know what I mean? So I guess for what I hear, like I've seen videos, and this is throughout the years. I didn't do any recent research, so it's not fresh in my memory or anything like that. But she used to wash his sons. Like he 50 Cent always had his son next to him and had him, like the kid was talking, rapping in some videos and this and that. He was always with his kid, right? And then there was a distance there. And once that distance happened, I guess his mom started telling him he had a deadbeat dad and the dad didn't want to take care of him, and your dad doesn't love you because he makes all this money and he spends some money on this and that, but not on his son. And that's how the beef started, because his son started repeating what his mom used to tell him.
His son is just a bum. Just his. Well, like
I mean,
says,
he
like,
goes hard. Look, imagine that. Imagine your son telling you dead to me. Imagine that. And now you're trying to come around like everything's good. You know what I mean? And they went back and forth a lot of times. And this kid was already like 19. So you already passed the time you're supposed to get this money. So at first he came out like claiming he wanted some money that was owed to him and his mom or whatever. And that just made things worse.
No, his son,
and 50
was
like,
a
yo,
scumbag.
this kid.
He's just a scumbag.
So many things. I mean, I think it's ridiculous. But at this point, this kid is calling out to his dad. I want, a relationship with my father and stuff like that. I think that's a little much.
No, probably because he doesn't have money. Like, the kid is a scumbag. Straight up scumbag.
You think so?
Yeah.
I
Like
mean,
this picture right here, right? This picture. Where 50 Cent says he wouldn't have a bad day if his son, Marguise Jackson, got hit by a bus. Now, you know who he's posing with, right?
Yes. What 50 Cent's enemy?
Yeah.
Well, enemy or whatever.
It's son of the guy who shot him, who almost killed him.
Yeah.
And he's posing with his son. And I got, like, when we first started recording, you were asking me, like, what did I have up? It was 50 Cent sort of going through, I guess, 50 Cent's book. And he's going through, it's like a quick couple lines of him actually talking about his relationship with his son and some of the things he tried to do for him and tried to raise him. And it's like, you can't help this kid, man.
But that's what I think as well, because what I'm right now, I didn't know about Marquise, I didn't know about 50 Cent having a son, but shit, Barry's about to die. But yeah, what I hear now is that it is way past the point that son is already the point that he has so much influence from his mom that you would start to question about his intention behind it, and even
Yeah.
think that he would have it in some way like his mom, to have the same urges to actually find a man who can actually provide for him in that sense. So that's history repeating itself.
But he could also be wrong, and his kid actually could be looking for a father figure, and he could also like be like at this point like, oh, maybe my mom was a little bit of a liar. Okay, I don't want to insult this kid's mom or anything like that, but maybe my mom didn't love me as much as she said. She wasn't protecting me as much as she said. She was just using me. And if you realize your parents, your mom in this case, was using you, Narayan, can you pause that real quick?
What?
Pause it real quick. Not mute yourself for a second. That's a lot of noise. All right. And if you realize that your mom didn't love you as much as she said she did, and she was only using you to get this large amount of money, and using you to get sympathy from others, including the judge, it's just tricky, man, because it could be true he's ready for a relationship with his dad, or it could be true that he just wants
He needs money.
to some of that money. Yeah, of course, an easy life.
But here you go. I got a couple clips that he actually talks about his son right here.
Wait, Ed, would you let your son back in after all of this?
No. It just gets to a point to where it's like, I don't care if you are family. It just gets to a point where I just have to say no.
Yeah, that's not just family. Your son is like,
okay.
I don't know. Go for it. Let's hear what you got.
Resentment. There have been a lot of disappointing moments in my relationship with Marguise over the past few years. But the lowest was when I saw him post a picture of himself with Kyle McGriff, the son of Kenneth Supreme McGriff. Without rehashing too much bad history, Kenneth McGriff was one of the biggest drug dealers in Queens, and the man the authorities believe was behind the attempt on my life. So by posing with his son, Marguise was basically co-signing an individual who might have tried to have his father killed. I had known Marguise resented me for a while, but I never imagined he would hate me so much that he'd allow himself to be used as a prop by my enemy. Someone recently sent me a quote from Benjamin Franklin that really resonated with me. Franklin's son had sided with the British in the Revolutionary War, despite the fact that his father was one of the leaders of the revolution. It messed with Ben Franklin for the rest of his life. He wrote, "Nothing has ever hurt me so much and affected me with such keen sensation as to find myself deserted in my old age by my only son. And not only deserted, but to find him taking up arms against me, and a cause wherein my good fame, fortune, and life were all at stake." Marguise might not have been literally taking up arms against me, but he was standing next to the son of someone who might have. I could recognize Franklin's pain. I spent a lot of time searching my soul, trying to understand what could make a son forsake his father like that. I've tried to put myself in Marguise's shoes, just as he doesn't know what it's like to grow up under the circumstances I did.
And that's what I said. It's like, I mean, it's too much. It's too much. I mean, the kid just keeps attacking you and provoking you and attacking you. I mean, he's hanging out with the son of the guy who almost killed you. I mean, he's letting you know what he thinks about you.
Bro, yeah, this has been going on for a minute, man. Like I said, they were like, going back and forth with each other. Not only Marguise, but his mom too, okay?
And there's another part here like that, the most interesting part, right? But I thought of, as soon as I thought of his son. Right here, I'm going to skip right to this part.
I was determined to help him learn that he would actually be much happier when he worked for the things he wanted, that their value would increase exponentially. One day I was driving through Harlem when I noticed that a sneaker store was going out of business on 125th Street. My mind immediately flashed to my son. Marguise loves sneakers, so I pulled over to see if I can grab him a couple of pairs on the cheap. Being naturally inquisitive, I asked the owner why he was going out of business if sneakers were so hot. He explained that he picked the wrong location and never got enough foot traffic to make it work. My mind started clicking. Say, how much do you pay for a pair of Air Force Ones, I asked. About $40, he told me. And how much you sell them for? About $80. That seemed like a pretty solid profit margin to me. What are you going to do with all these Air Forces now, I asked. I don't know, he said. Probably just stash them in my basement till I figure out my next move. I tell you what, I told him. I'm going to buy the rest of the inventory from you right now at cost. The guy jumped at my offer. Suddenly, I was the new owner of a couple hundred pairs of Nikes.
Now, if you remember, his son wanted 50 pairs of Jordans or whatever.
Yeah, I can't give you the number, but yeah,
it's
it
like
was
50
something
pairs of
crazy.
sneakers to start
But
the
it
new
was
school
his
year.
mom. This is his mom speaking. You can tell by what's going on. It's his mom speaking through him.
But let's go on. Let's listen to a little bit more of this, because this is where then it gets interesting. That's why I
hatched the
don't
plan.
respect this kid.
Marguise was in Atlanta, where I knew storage space was cheap. I would ship the sneakers down to him, where he could put them in a warehouse. Instead of opening up a brick and mortar shop, which would have taken a lot of investment and depended on foot traffic, he could set up an internet site selling sneakers, what is referred to as direct-to-consumer sales. All it would require would be for him to run the site and maybe hire a friend to manage the warehouse side of things. The idea felt like a winner. As soon as I left the shop, I called up my son. Yo, Marguise, you know how you always been fascinated with shoes? I asked. Well, I just figured out a way you can afford them yourself and start to earn a little money of your own too. I broke down the whole plan for him. I explained how it was a great opportunity that would not only support his passion, but allow him to get a nuts and bolts understanding of how business works. This is a layup, I told him. Not too many stores get to start off with free inventory. You could really do something with this. If you're truly passionate about sneakers, this is the time to show it. Marguise said all the right things on the phone, how excited he was and how it sounded like a great opportunity. So I had the shoes shipped
Until
down
he
to
brought it
Atlanta.
up to his mom.
Then I never heard from him about it again. Weeks and months passed. Finally, one day, his mother called me and announced that she and Marguise been talking.
Okay. Well,
Instead of an online sneaker store, they wanted to open a clothing boutique in Atlanta. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The plan I envisioned didn't include her. I wanted our son to learn how to be responsible for himself. By injecting herself into the mix, she was just trying to keep him a boy a little longer. I still wanted Marguise to get some experience, so I said, sure, let me know when you guys want to do something. But of course, their boutique never went anywhere. And the online sneaker shop didn't either. My issue with Marguise wasn't that he wanted all those sneakers. When I was a kid, I wanted sneakers too. The difference is that I was willing, make that determined, to do the work necessary to obtain them. I wouldn't for a second want Marguise to have to resort to the type of work I put in to get my kicks. At the time, I perceived selling drugs as the only viable option in my environment, so I pursued it. Marguise has so many more options in front of him than I ever had. I just needed to see him pick one and put in the work. There's nothing wrong with wanting things. The sense of want can be a tremendous motivation tool. Feeling like you want more than what you have is what keeps us from getting complacent. I've pretty much got it all, but I never feel like I do. When I was younger, I always wanted more in the way of material things. Today, what I want more of is validation.
I thought there was more to it, but probably another book, Mark.
Good. Of course, we do have to take into account that this is somebody. If they didn't write this for them, for him, they fixed this for 50 Cent.
They made it clear.
Yeah.
So you don't think that he tried
No,
50 Cent? No, that's where you are wrong, because what do you think 50 Cent do? Like, what do you think he does?
He writes and everything. He does a whole bunch of
No, like
things.
seriously, what do you think his skill sets are?
Okay,
There's a reason why I'm asking.
I know 50 Cent, and what I mean is by personality. By personality, he is not this polite.
No,
he is not this easy.
how does 50 Cent make money? Is what I'm asking.
Doing all these bunch of things. He writes, he produces.
50 Cent is a businessman. Plain and simple, he is a businessman, and he has a son. What do you want to do for your son? If you're a businessman, you want to teach your son how to be independent and make money as well. And you don't believe that he actually did that. Say here.
No.
Didn't do that.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I heard this story. Like, I know.
The
the way he approached the situation, he didn't make it this easy for anybody. I know for sure.
Okay.
Because I see his personality. He's not this type of person.
It don't matter
that's like,
how
oh,
he
well,
talks to him. If he's
maybe.
rude, it's like he's talking
No,
to his
and
son.
you're right. But I'm sure there was a problem as soon as this girl put herself in the mix, and he wasn't this nice. And you know, his kid is already siding with his mom and stuff
Okay,
like that.
well,
Maybe you should
he
address
messed
this
up.
situation differently. Of course, knowing that any issues, he's gonna side with his mother. That's just me, of course. And I'm sure he wasn't like, well, you know, I think this is a good business move. Can you please give him space to do this and that? No, it was a problem, and I'm sure of it.
At what point does he become a man? I mean, I think the kid is what, like 25? 25 now or something?
That's a good point. But at the same time, it's only one-sided, this story, and that's where I
That one side is so good, I'm going with it.
yeah, I mean, if I would write a book, I would write from my side and would have enlightened it too with details.
I don't know. To me, it's
Clean
pretty
it up.
like, if you had a son, this sounds rich. You got a son, you would say, hey, son, I know how to run business. I'm going to give you an easy one just to get your feet wet. And you're right, the mother got involved, but at what point does his son become a grown man? When is it going to happen?
I understand. And I also understand him pitching the idea and the mom wanting to take over. Okay. But I'll tell you, because look, I remember being 14 years old and my dad having money, or like 12 years old or something like that. My dad having money, and I'm like, hey, Dad, let's invest. This is before I met Nagayan. Let's invest in apartments. Let's invest in a corner store. Let's invest in this and that. And my dad like dismissing my ideas and everything. Maybe it wouldn't have worked or anything, but I remember how that made me feel. It made me feel in such a way that I still remember that. You understand? And not in a positive way. So I get it. I understand it. But I'm just saying he didn't make that easy. Make things that easy for anybody, not even for himself. Yeah, that mom should back off and let that man have a relationship with his kid in any way this man feels is appropriate. I don't think that was a bad idea. He did more than most. I wish my parents would have like pitched some idea like that to me, or had anything for me.
But instead, his son is there with his hand out, wondering why the child support or the whatever payments.
This is not about his son. This was not about his son.
No,
and
bro.
And what
I'm seeing. I don't know. Maybe you didn't see it, but there's streams of his son going like out there debating people, talking about he's not getting enough money each month. I'm like, what? Like what? And they like, yo, how old are you?
But listen, when we were watching the video, you were saying this and that, right? He was saying this and that. But in mid-video, I told you, yeah, it sounds like a great idea, like 50 said, right? And I said yes, until this kid spoke to his mom.
You keep saying
you know what
kid.
I meant?
You keep saying kid.
He was a kid at the time, man. Like,
what's kid to you? Give me an age. I think this kid was probably in his 20s.
You cannot define age with, you can, we're still kids in a sense, but you cannot put an age to when a person becomes an adult. It's a process.
No, the guy, if I got a business deal and I say, hey, the guy, yo, let's do this, and your mom comes in, come on.
Okay, so if you was to manipulate somebody, who are you looking for?
What's your name? What do you
Somebody
mean?
who is gullible, innocent, who doesn't actually know how to say right from wrong. And if you have somebody that is young or kid, even better, because you can mold them throughout time. No, what?
You keep saying kid. I mean, I'm
talking about in the past. Okay, this tweet or post or whatever it was is recent. This didn't start recently.
I know.
This has been going on since this kid was like 8 years old.
So you're saying he's indoctrinated now. So even when he does grow up, it's like he still got the indoctrination.
That's not exactly. Yeah, you catching a better drift of what I'm saying, but that's not quite yet. What I'm saying is, is a possibility. And then on top of it being a possibility, it's also possible that he today he realized differently than he did before.
Hey, you messed up.
As he did in there's an interview, there's a whole interview where he was talking about this, to where like, yeah, I used to think like this, but I don't think like this anymore.
I'd be like, hey, too late.
But my dad won't give me the time or day.
I don't blame
make
him.
it better.
I don't blame
No,
him.
and I don't blame him either, because I don't know what I would do. But my son, my kids will always be my kids. I will always keep trying, even if that hurts me or whatever. My kids are my kids.
Okay.
And it's a shame that he has to see such a big side of, I don't want to say he hates her, but of a person who he can probably not stand at all in his son. That is an uncomfortable place to be at. You understand? I get it. I understand it. But that's your son, regardless of what, man.
Yeah, but he's a bum.
He is a bum. I'm not gonna lie. Yes. When you are not trying to make it happen for yourself and you just like looking out for handouts. Yeah.
Like
I guess
50
so.
Cent is your father. All the things 50 Cent could teach him. But he don't actually want to be out there working and doing stuff. So
50 Cent wasn't on that wave before, okay? Back then, okay? Now he sees it. That's why I keep saying now he probably sees it. But back then, 50 Cent wasn't taking no crap from nobody, man. 50 Cent was out there. This is not the same man we talking about when this kid was growing
I
up.
don't
It's
think
not the
you
same
can
dude.
judge 50 Cent by the way he's like out in the streets and by the way he'll like talk to his own son. Like there's different, you know what I mean? You're not going to talk to your son the same way that you're talking to random people or
I keep saying this. This didn't start like this though.
yeah.
You understand? It didn't start that way. That's where they at today. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
it
the
didn't
mother
start.
and that's the son's fault.
It's the mom's fault.
The son gets some blame too. When you're an adult, you start getting blamed.
No, yeah. For today's actions. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. But Nagayan, what you think?
Yeah, I'm also with the side of the kid being influenced by his mom, in the sense that he is, what I already said, that he is already in a sense that
At the point it wasn't an
he's not aware of what he's doing, but at the same time actually doing exactly what his mom wants him to do or would do.
That's manipulation, though. Not influence, but manipulation.
And that's where that part of the history, I don't know how far it goes into where the mom actually molded the son to be like her or act like her. But that's for them, I think.
She messed up. Now neither one of them got a relationship with him. So hey.
That's the deal.
Yeah, but that kid, let's say at 15, 16, 17, he should have realized.
Yeah, you should already be waking up.
Yeah. I agree. So, yeah, there's a point there too.
I hope he changed. I hope he realized, and maybe it's a little too late to getting a chance in, but at the same time,
that kid,
blood
he
is thicker
said he
than
changed.
water. That's what my father used to say.
Yeah, well, he said he changed, but at this point, I also believe that if you want something bad enough, you will say what you think you're supposed to say.
Yeah.
Even if it's not honest.
I don't even believe it.
I understand 50 for keeping his guard up.
I think his bank account changed. It got a little low. That's what changed.
Yeah. Maybe he want to be in one of these episodes of Empire or something.
Something.
Yeah, rock bottom can change people.
Yeah.
That's it.
Trust me, I know.
We're good here, guys?
Yeah, we good.
All right. My tablet didn't stop working. Stop working.